Welcome to Heart, Soul and Melanin. I'm your storyteller. We're here for the ones who've spent years being strong, the ones who've been the foundation and the rock, but forgotten who they were along the way. From the rain-slicked streets of London to the red dust of Benin, we tell stories that don't just look like you, they feel like you. Real stakes, real history, real love. Subscribe, and let's find our way home together. Previously on the Audit. Senior Sales Director Eniola Davies is under immense pressure, fighting to maintain her career while her daughter Tasha struggles at university. Her audit, set up by her boss Graham to remove her, is being conducted by Clive Baptiste, a consultant who has proven to be an unexpected challenge. Clive is more than a professional. He's a mirror. Having sacrificed his own health in the corporate world, he challenges Eniola to see the cost of her armour. After connecting over shared cultural food and intimate personal truths, Clive makes his feelings clear, urging her to choose herself. Now, with Clive's final game-changing report due to the executive committee, Eniola is left with a single, terrifying question. Is Clive her ally, or is his personal attention a sophisticated trap to finally take her down? 1 month after Clive first strode into the boardroom, the atmosphere on the 29th floor was brittle. Eniola didn't sit in on the presentation of the report. She was a senior director, not a senior leader. Clive debriefed the executive committee behind closed doors. She sat in her office, her hand steady on a lukewarm mug of herbal tea, watching the rain blur the London skyline. Inside the boardroom, Clive stood at the front, his presentation laying out the cold, hard data. "Let's begin," Graham said, his voice all false warmth and corporate pleasantries. Papers rustled as people settled in. "Clive, walk us through your assessment." Clive pressed a button. The first slide appeared. Data, charts, her performance metrics laid bare. "Eniola Davies has been with this company for 10 years, he began, his voice steady, professional. Her quarterly revenue averages £15 million in closed deals. That's £60 million annually. Her client retention rate is 94%, well above industry standard. Her team consistently exceeds targets." Graham shifted in his seat. This wasn't what he wanted to hear. "However," Clive continued, "there are concerns about long-term sustainability." Graham leaned forward, smelling blood in the water. Clive continued. "The current structure," he said, his voice taking on an edge, "places unsustainable pressure on senior leaders. Eniola's workload is 40% above industry standard for a sales director at her level. She and her team manage 69 enterprise accounts. The recommended maximum is 45. She has 2 direct reports despite generating revenue that would typically support a team of 4. He clicked to the next slide. More data, more evidence. "The company is extracting maximum value while providing minimal structural support. This isn't a performance issue, this is an organizational design failure." The room went quiet. Someone cleared their throat nervously. "What are you saying?" Graham asked, his voice tight. Clive turned to face him directly. "I'm saying that if you want to retain talent like Eniola Davies, you need to restructure the role. Add more team support, reduce client load to sustainable levels, increase compensation to reflect actual value delivered." He paused, let it land. "Otherwise, you'll lose her. And based on her pipeline and the institutional knowledge she holds, that would cost you approximately £15 to £20 million in annual revenue, conservatively." Graham's face went a decidedly purple shade. "We brought you here for efficiency, Clive, not a talent review." "This is efficiency. My recommendation is a total restructure of her department and immediate increase in headcount support. Otherwise, you're just waiting for her to break." Graham didn't offer a deal. He thanked Clive for his report and informed him that the committee would deliberate.
The meeting ended 30 minutes earlier than planned. Eniola caught Clive at the elevators. "What did you just do?" she asked, her voice low. "I told them the truth," he said simply. "You just made yourself an enemy. Graham will make sure you never work with this firm again, and with others." Clive stepped closer, the scent of bergamot in spice wrapping around her. "There are other clients, Ola. There's only one of you."
10 days later, Graham called Eniola into his office. He looked tired, his ruddy face damp with sweat. "After Clive's assessment," Graham began, the word sour in his mouth, "the leadership team has agreed to implement some structural changes, effective immediately." He slid a document across the desk. New org chart, her name at the top, 2 more direct reports beneath her, client load reduced, salary unchanged. "We value you, Eniola," he said, trying to sound sincere. "We want to make sure you have the support you need to continue thriving here." She picked up the document, read it slowly. It was everything she'd needed 3 years ago, but sitting in Graham's office, listening to him pretend to care, watching him try to make this seem like a gift instead of damage control, she realized the cost. Even with more support, even with the reduced load, she'd still be here, in this building, reporting to this man, performing for people who only valued her when forced to. "I need to think about it," she said. Graham blinked. "Think about it? Eniola, this is a significant investment from the company. "I need to think about it," she repeated, standing. "I'll let you know by end of week." She left before he could respond. That night, Eniola sat on her sofa and felt a weight lift off her own chest. She didn't want the restructured job. She didn't want to report to a man who only valued her when a consultant pointed a gun at his revenue. She texted Clive, "Your office, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Clive's office was a quiet building by Waterloo Station. Eniola arrived at 7:03 p.m, wearing jeans and a fitted jumper, her corporate armour left at home. Still the weave, but minimal makeup and a weight off her shoulders. She knocked. "Come in," his voice called from inside. She opened the door. He was standing by the window, looking out at the Thames. He'd changed too. Dark jeans, a simple shirt, sleeves rolled up. No consultant uniform. Just Clive. He turned when she entered. Those dark eyes tracked her across the room. "You came," he said. "I used to." "I did." He gestured to a small table where 2 wine glasses sat, a bottle already open. He poured. The wine glug-glugged softly into the glasses. He handed her one. Their fingers blushed, that familiar spark. They sat, not across from each other this time, on the same side of the table, close enough that their knees almost touched. "I'm leaving. I'm giving notice next week. I've got a lawyer working on a proposed package for my quiet exit." He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Good. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a plan. I'm terrified." "That means you're doing it right," he said. She took a sip of wine, gathered her courage. "Why did you risk your reputation for me? You didn't have to go to war with Graham. You didn't have to make yourself an enemy." He turned to her. The intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. "I saw you in that boardroom, Eniola. I saw myself, a brilliant person trapped in a system designed to extract everything and give back very little in comparison. And I thought, maybe I could help you see what I couldn't until it almost killed me." "Why do you care?" she whispered. "Because," he said, and his voice dropped lower, intimate, just for her. "I stopped being professional the moment I realized I couldn't stop thinking about you, the moment I hoped you'd choose yourself." Eniola's heart was hammering. "Clive," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His hand closed around hers, large, warm, careful. I've broken about 15 consulting ethics rules since I met you, but I don't care. You deserve better than the life you've been living, and if watching you choose yourself means I lose clients, then I lose clients. She stared at him, at the concern in his face, at the way he held her hand like it was something precious. This isn't about work anymore, she said. No, he agreed. It hasn't been for a while. Then what is it about? He watched her. It's about a woman who deserves to be seen, not as a diversity hire or as a revenue generator, just seen as herself. Something in her chest cracked open. I see you, he said softly. Every time you put on that armour, every time you perform, every time you pretend you're not exhausted, I see you, Eniola, and I think you're incredible. She was crying. She didn't know when it started. He reached up, brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. The touch sent electricity through her. I don't know how to stop performing, she whispered. Then start with this, right now, with me. No armour, no performance, just you. She watched him, at this man who'd seen through every wall she'd built, who'd risked his career to protect her, who sat with her in empty offices and waited, who answered his mother's calls in the middle of meetings and thought it made him more, not less. Clive, she whispered. Yeah? I want to kiss you. His breath caught. Eniola? I know all the reasons why we shouldn't, the ethics, the professional boundaries, all of it, but I don't care. I've spent 10 years doing what I should. Right now, I want to do what I want. He studied her face. Are you sure? Yes. He moved slowly, giving her every chance to change her mind, but she didn't. He leaned in. She met him halfway. The first brush of his lips against hers was gentle, testing, his mouth soft and full and perfect. He tasted like wine and something darker, something that made her stomach clench with want. She made a sound, small, helpless, and he pulled back just slightly. Okay, he murmured against her mouth. More, she whispered. His hand came up to cup her face, large palm against her jaw, thumb brushing her bone top. Then he kissed her again. Deeper this time, his tongue rasped against hers, slow, deliberate, devastating. She felt it everywhere, heat pooling low in her stomach, her skin suddenly too sensitive. He kissed like he did everything else, deliberately, thoroughly, like he had all the time in the world and intended to use it. She reached for him, her hands finding his shoulders, then sliding up the back of his neck, feeling the warmth of his skin. He pulled her closer, his other arm wrapping around her waist, pulling her into him. She felt the solid strength of him, the size of him, the heat of his body against hers. His arm tightened even further around her waist. His other hand slid up her back to hold the back of her neck, holding her tight in his big arms. His lips were impossibly soft, full and beautiful, perfect, the kind of mouth made for exactly this, for taking time, savouring, making her forget everything but him. She kissed him back, poured 10 years of exhaustion and loneliness and wanting into it, let herself feel everything she'd been afraid to feel. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. His hand moved back to cup her face again, his arm still around her waist, like he had no intention of letting her go. You, he breathed, his voice low and deep. Yes, she whispered. They stayed like that, foreheads pressed together, breathing each other's air, holding each other tight. I'm terrified, I admitted quietly. Of what? Of wanting this, of wanting you,
of what happens if I let myself... Let myself what? She pulled back just enough to look at him, at his face, at the concern and want and care written all over it. Fall, she whispered. His expression softened. You can fall. I'll catch you.
They talked until midnight, about what came next, about her leaving, about his work, about whether this, whatever this was, could be real outside the pressure cooker of the assessment. I want to do this right, Clive said. Not rush, not because we're caught up in the intensity of everything that's happened. What does right look like? She asked. Slow, he said. Give you time to figure out who you are when you're not performing. Give us both time to see if this is real. She smiled. It feels real. It does, he agreed. But I want you to be sure. I want you to choose this, choose me, because it's what you want, not because I helped you escape. She kissed him again. I'm choosing you because you saw me, not my performance, not my numbers, me. Then let's take our time, he said. Do this properly. 3 months later. Morning sounds filled the flat. Birds outside the window, a coffee pot brewing somewhere nearby, soft laughter drifting up from the street below. Eniola had left her job. She was freelance consulting now, smaller start-up and scale-up clients, her terms, her schedule. She worked from home 2 days a week, spent 2 days in a workspace, and 1 day doing whatever she chose to do. The weave was gone, and she'd locked up her hair, baby locks emerging, forming, free. Tasha had switched to psychology. She was thriving. And Clive was careful, patient. They dated properly, dinners, shows, gigs, exhibitions. They'd done a dinner and dance, an Amapiano event, whatever they wanted to experience together. Their conversations lasted hours. He never pushed, never rushed, just showed up, consistently. He made her laugh, made her think, made her feel seen in ways she'd never experienced. One Sunday morning they were in his kitchen in Peckham cooking breakfast together. He was humming along to the radio, moving through his space with that same deliberate confidence he brought to everything. She'd been spending every weekend here for the past month. His flat was large but warm, full of books and art and plants his mother had given him. Speaking of whom, a key turned in the door. The door opened. "Clive, baby, I brought plantain," a woman's voice, warm and knowing. Paulette stopped in the doorway, saw Eniola. Her face broke into a smile. "Oh, you must be Eniola," she said in her sing-song Trini accent, clearly delighted. Eniola set down her coffee, suddenly nervous. "Mrs. Baptiste, it's so lovely to meet you. Paulette, please." She walked in, set down her bags, and immediately pulled Eniola into a hug. "Let me look at you." She held Eniola at arm's length, studied her face with the kind of attention that saw everything. "You look different to the photo Clive showed me," Paulette said softly. "Lighter, like you've been carrying something heavy and finally put it down." Eniola's throat tightened. "I have." Paulette smiled, patted her cheek. "Good. Now sit, eat, and tell me what's lifted the weight from your shoulders, aside from this big lump yasso." They all laughed. Dishes clinked softly. The warm sounds of a family meal filled the small kitchen. Eniola sat at Paulette's table, Clive beside her. His hand found hers under the table, squeezed gently. She squeezed back. And for the first time in years away from Tasha, Eniola Davies felt like she was home. Not in a building, not in a job, not in a performance, just home. The laughter faded into comfortable background noise, the kind that speaks of belonging. Eniola Davies spent 10 years building a life she thought she wanted. It took 2 weeks and 1 honest man to show her what she actually needed, permission to choose herself. The audit was over, but her life, that was just beginning.
The rain outside had turned soft and cleansing, full of hope, a new beginning. The end. Thank you for listening to The Audit. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more mature black romance stories. This is just the first in our London Love Story series. And remember, if you're tired, you're allowed to rest.